Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words. We're doing some Legacy and we're going to go back to a deck that we played earlier, which is the Monowhite Painter list. We made a few changes based on the last league we ran, and also got some stuff that is a bit different that we want to test out. So the changes to the main deck is we've cut the second portable hole in favour of a Swords to Plowshares. A lot of the time these two cards are going to be very similar. Having one that we can still tutor for with the Oswald is nice. But the Swords to Plowshares is something that can actually kill a Murktide region, which is the reason we're going to be running this one. It also frees up one more slot in the sideboard, and the portable holes are pretty bad in games 2 and 3 quite often, due to the fact that a lot of people are bringing in big hate pieces like Meltdown or Energy Flux. So basically having a piece of removal that is able to actually remove something permanently seems like a good place to be in my view. The Lion Sash is because we wanted something that could actually beat down the main deck. We have the Urza Saga tokens and we have the Ingenious Smith. But outside of that, we don't really have a lot of closing power in terms of beefy bodies. And I was thinking what sort of bodies we could have. Lion Sash was in a lot of earlier builds, and also I know other people who play Monowhite Painter like the Sash, so I've put that back in. I think it's probably the correct thing to do. Sideboard wise, very similar to how we were before. We've got our Graveyard Hate. We've added in this one additional piece of Graveyard Hate. And then we're going to be trying out the Anointed Peacekeeper. Last time we played this, it was pretty good. So I'd like to play it again. I think that's pretty reasonable. We've gone up to 3 because we want to test to see how really good it is in those matchups. You know, sort of the control-y matchups where peeking your opponent's hand and making it more awkward for them will buy you enough turns to close a game out. Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. So I think we're just going to see how it lies and jump into a league. Alright, so this is the opening hand we've got for round 1. We've got 1 drop, we've got 2 drop, we've got an Urza Saga. So we've got a pretty serviceable beatdown plan here. Obviously, if they're a fast combo deck, we're probably going to get ruined on this one, but that's not really what this deck is designed to play against. Slightly too many lands here, unfortunately, but we can sandbag the Ancient Den to pump the Ingenious Smith later, so we're going to keep this. Our opponent started out on a Tropical Island, could just be a fair deck with an Uro pile. There's a lot of options that it could be here. So I think we're going to try and play out the Esper Sentinel first, purely for the purposes of being able to draw some extra cards or at least tax our opponent's mana. The Brainstorm like this doesn't feel great because it's basically a turn 1 Brainstorm, so they're not going to be able to fix their hand, they're just going to be able to see a little deeper really. Which makes me believe that they might be a combo deck, because that would be a better play if they're a combo deck. Or it could just mean their hand is a bit weak and needs fixing and they don't want to give me any more resources. Okay, so they've got Flooded Strands. They can shuffle away one of the 2 cards they put back with Brainstorm. So they've only got a marginal fixing effect from that Brainstorm. Obviously their hand could have been fine anyway. So this looks like it could be the blue Zenith deck. It has the Yorion. But I've seen Yorion High Tide, Yoria Displacer Kitten. So there's quite a lot of options of this still being a combo deck. Obviously, it can't be a really fast combo deck, but we'll see what we're up to. I'm going to use the Solgar Lantern for trimming their Uro later on. So this could be a Coatl Flying Snake thingy, so I don't really want to attack into this, because this is worth more to me than getting their Coatl off the board. Obviously that could change, but we'll see. So we're going to have a look, see what we can find. None of this is great, but we're going to get a Grindstone because that's going to bait out a Prismatic Ending. And it's just another artifact to play to pump the Ingenious Smith. We don't want to play into the snake, so we're just going to sit. This can attack into the snake next turn because we won't have Death Touch next turn. Yeah, exactly. That's the reason we didn't attack the Esper Sentinel. Correctly read the play, and we don't really care about this pinging back. So this could be Allurin is another option. So there's definitely a lot of combo decks that could be playing in a Yorion shell. Okay, so they're just passing turn back to me. So our Urza Saga is going up now. So we have the combo in hand, but we don't need to use the combo yet. So we're going to play out an Ancient Den. We're just going to pump our Ingenious Smith. And we're going to attack, and then we make a token on their turn, which will then pump our Ingenious Smith on their turn, because they're going to be pumped once per turn. So it's important to try and make sure that you get the maximum amount of pumps. They could have another Coatl here, which means they're going to be trading 2 for 1. So they're going to Swords to Plowshares the Ingenious Smith. Okay, I assume they're going to pay for these Swords to Plowshares. Sure. So they're going to let me gain a couple of life. And so at this moment, we have options of trying to play out parts of the combo, but I think the best play here is just to play the Urza's Saga, because we're going to have an additional mana next turn as well, so we can use that to play out the Grindstone. And then we can go and get a Mox Opal to give us more mana, or we can play out, and we can use that to play out the Mother of Runes to protect our Painter's Servant on the following turn. Now, this could all collapse if they're playing a combo right now. So they put Yorin into their hand, which is not the most exciting of plays. So I need to make sure I don't pass through the end of turn here, which is something I've done on previous streams. I'm not very well versed with Magic Online. Okay, so we made our guy. That's a good step. So this requires, as long as you control 3 other snow permanents. They're not going to have enough snow permanents for this. So we're going to make another guy. So we have options here. We could also get the Hope of Girapur, but it's going to be hard getting through that. We could always just turn it straight into a Shadow Spear, but because we don't have the mana for Shadow Spear this turn, we can also Pithing Needle their Windswept Heath to keep them off of anything scary like Yorion, which is a play that I don't mind doing here. So because they didn't crack, I think we'll probably get them this way. This is going to slow down the Yorion in the hand or the Uro that they have. Windswept Heath, sure. And then we'll play out this and we'll go to attacks with our 5/5. Because I'm playing the Mother of Runes, I'm going to play it post-combat, because if I was playing an artifact, I want to play it out pre-combat just to make this guy slightly bigger. So I think we're going to play out the Mother of Runes in the second main, so we have protection on our Painter's Servant next turn. So we've slowed down a little bit from where we were before. I think that's fine. We could have tried to get the Mox Opal and Accelerate, but I think reducing their speed is probably going to be fine there. So I'm getting the impression that they're just a fair pile. But again, all of these cards could exist in an unfair shell. I use the term fair and unfair a lot. It's purely just about... we've got Swords to Plowshares. Are you going to pay 2 for that? They're not. Okay, so my Mother Rune is going to die. That's 1 less removal spell to be pointed on my painter. The reason I use the terms fair and unfair is basically if people have like game-ending combos and that sort of thing. I think it's usually... Okay, so this is going to bounce one of my tokens. That's not great, but it's fine. So we can kill the Teferi this turn, which will turn off instant speed, prismatic endings and things, which is probably okay to do here. I imagine if I attack them both at Teferi, this will just trade here. If I just attack this, we have other options. So we can play the Crucible of Worlds here and just continue with the beatdown strategy, which I don't hate here. This is one of the better cards in the sort of grindier matchups, because it just lets you pull away with so much card advantage, because you're just replaying Urza's Sagas over and over again, and obviously if you draw a Wasteland, you get to do that as well. So next time we can start making more of these. So we're going to continue the beatdown plan in the hopes that our opponent is a fair deck, which I have every reason to believe they are. I haven't seen any unusual cards like Mishra's Bauble or Preordains or things like that you would tend to see in a combo deck. So I'm playing against them as if they were a fair deck that I need to leverage all my resources against and then win over time. So we want to be looking at things like Soulguide Lantern soon. Sure. So they've turned their land into an actual land now. Yeah, so we want to get a Soulguide Lantern out just in case there's going to be an Uro. We want to be able to deal with that. Sure. So this attacking this turn is interesting to me. they've held it back on blocks the other time, so they might be playing some sort of Supreme Verdict, which would be an unusual main deck card, but not completely out of nowhere because of this. Also, we're looking at Wandering Emperor as an option. Okay, they're just going to tap out for their Yorion and blink their guy. Okay, that's fine. It digs them another 2 cards deeper. So this would be a good time to draw the Swords to Plowshares that is now in my deck that wasn't in the previous iterations. So I could have used this to play a Grindstone or a Soulguide Lantern last turn, which probably would have been a better play. But I also want to sandbag some of my... Okay, that's fine. Always yield to this. So we have a lot of plays available to us this turn. We would like to make another token. I think that's pretty much a given. I think we're going to play out the Portable Hole this turn, though, and get rid of this Icefang Kirtle. We could deal with their mana base, take the Unabundant Growth away, but this means that their Yorion has to block unless they want to take 7 this turn, which seems like a lot of damage given that that's going to be half their life total. So let's see. I don't think they will block with the Yorion because they probably have ways of recycling it. So it's probably preferable for them to have the Yorion in play. Because they can play Caracas and things. We're going to activate this and make it 7 damage. No, I missed 1 point of damage there because I activated in the wrong step. Again, sorry. Magic Online things. It's got 3 mana. So they've got full grips. They have a lot of options available to them, no doubt. But this just constant stream of massive guys is definitely going to require some answers. So I have 2 lethal threats. I'd be very surprised if they couldn't answer at least one of them. Okay, so it's a fairy. This is going to bounce one of my tokens. I'm going to pay, sure. So I have 3 mana left up. So we can also give this trample as well. So we can guarantee a kill on the Teferi if we want. Should be noted that my channel is called Crucible of Words, and Crucible of Words is my favourite Magic card. So we have options here. So if we get the Ether Vial here, we can start ticking up the Ether Vial. I quite like that as a strategy. So we're going to go for that this time. Then we're going to play out this. So we have options here. We can make one of these 2 drops. I think we want to play out this Soulguide Lantern this turn. So this means Snapcaster Mages become much worse for them. So we're going to get rid of one of the Swords to Plowshares. And I suppose we probably need to play out a Grindstone. So if we go to attacks here, they're going to need 2 blockers. So I'm going to send both of these at them. I've only got 1, haven't I? So if I send this at them, they need to flash in a... They either have to put this under the bus or flash in another threat. If they flash in another threat, then they can kill this and chump block this. So I think I'm just going to send just this one in and let the Teferi tick up once. Okay, so they didn't have a flash threat, so I could have killed the Teferi that turn. I think constraining their mana is also fine. I was playing towards the worst case scenario there, rather than the best case, which might be a bit pessimistic, but I think you're less likely to lose games doing that because it's not actually going to change my clock. It's just going to mean they'll be able to cast some... Okay, yeah, so they might have been able to cast Prismatic Ending at instant speed, but they have so many targets they have to hit. Okay, so we're going to sideboard. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a fair sort of what they call the Zenith piles. So what is good against these people? So this is where we actually want these Anointed Peacekeepers that I've decided to dump a load into my deck to test out. So that's good. I don't think we want to play the Rest in Peace. I think we just want to rely on the Crucible of Worlds. Get myself there. Crucible of Worlds here. I think this is going to be quite useful. So Mother Rune is going to be exceptional in this matchup, as are the Sentinels, and the Canonist is also going to be pretty good. So a lot of the stuff in this deck is going to be pretty strong. I'm not convinced that the Grindstone plan is going to be where we want to be. Because these games are longer, I'm not sure if we're going to need the Mox Opal in this one. The Lion Sash seems fine here as well. Like, this is almost pre-boarded, but I think we want to try and just pump in some of these things. I don't think Swords to Plowshares or Portable Hole are where we want to be. With the caveat in mind that if they are a Green Sun's pile, even though we didn't see in a Green Sun Zenith, they could have Collector Roof, which weakens our Grindstone plan quite considerably, but it doesn't impact our general beatdown plan. Sorry, we need to put these over here where they're coming out, don't we? So we can compare. So I think we would just want to board like this. So we're just going to trim down on the combo side. And push more into the fair matchup here, and just grind them with things like Crucible of Worlds and diminish their resources to the point where they have to. I'm still going to keep Saga Lantern because I'm expecting they have a an Uro in their deck. I'm kind of tempted to trim on the combo even more and put in a couple of swords just to deal with the one or two big creatures they have. So we still have the Oswald Fiddlebender if we need to find these things, so I think we're going to give this a go. I really want to test out the Anointed Peacekeepers, and this seems like a pretty good spot to do exactly that. It's good at making Planeswalkers incredibly mana intensive. So this doesn't have a 1-drop, but it does have Crucible Wasteland combo. It has an artifact land that can get shut off. I think we keep this. It's a little bit slower, but this matchup has been shown that I don't need to come up blisteringly fast. I've got a sideboard card, and I've got my long game grinding engine. So these are both things I want to do. So they're probably going to go Island Ponder for the first turn. Yep. And then, depending on what we draw, depends on how we play out. We didn't see any sort of wasteland-based options. Like, it is possible they have like 1 or 2 wastelands and a Life from Alone, as is the way that these massive Euron decks work. They can fit those in without ruining their mana base too much, but then they have to get both pieces at the same time. So I'm not really convinced that's where you want to be, but it could be fine. So I think we probably just play out the Ganjo and represent a white spell if needs be. And the next time we'll play either the Wasteland or the Ancient Den. I'm reluctant to play the Ancient Den because it can pump Ingenious Smiths, but also it can get hit by Collector Roofs and then set me back a turn mana-wise. A Brainstorm, sure. And they play their land first, which is very peculiar to me, because you want to hold it in case you have a fetch. Because if you're brainstorming, you're obviously looking for something. Your hand needs fixing. You shouldn't be casting a Brainstorm unless you have things that you would rather have in your hand than some of the cards in your hand. Okay, so they're using an Oath of Nyssa as a clearing effect. I still think you probably want to do it the other way around. So, wait till you see all your cards before playing your forest. I suspect they're playing Minsk and Boo. Would be my assumption for playing this card, because otherwise it's a very unusual inclusion to me when you can just play the blue cantrips. Okay, so now we have this, which we didn't really want on this turn, but alas, here it is. But I think we're going to just play out one of the Canonists. So this should mean it's a lot more difficult for them to cast a cantrip and a spell they want to cast in the same turn. So they're going to have to, they can't dig for like a sorcery speed answer. They have to dig for an instant speed answer because they won't be able to cast it, and so on and so forth. Next turn we have options here. We can double spell. I guess we see what Teferi does. If Teferi makes me want to double spell. Yeah, okay, so we're going to play this and the Esper Sentinel out. We can hit their land, but I think it's better for us to make it. Okay, this does change how I want to play this turn, I think. I haven't seen any daisies, so I'm going to just play this out first and see if this resolves. Okay, so we found part of our combo. And then we'll play this out, which will pump our Smith. And then we're going to play out the Sentinel. So this gives us two things that we can attack into the Teferi with. Veteran Explorer. Okay, so they're like some sort of like Bant Nick fit, I guess. I'm not really sure what manner of ways they have of sacrificing this. This will ramp me nicely as well. This opponent's list is unusual, so I can't really be sure what is in it. I think I haven't seen this selection of cards in the deck that I can recall. Okay, so we can just put them in the Wasteland bind if we want to, or we can take a little peek and see what's going on in their hand. I don't hate that. I think either way we're playing this out, aren't we? Now the problem with playing the Anointed Peacekeeper is that we won't be able to play an artifact to pump our Ingenious Smith. The Wasteland lock looks a lot worse in the face of a Veteran Explorer as well, so I might even be tempted. Like, this is obviously great with Urza's Saga, but I think the correct play here is play the Peacekeeper out. And then if this blocks when I attack the Teferi with my Ingenious Smith, then I will get some more lands into play and be able to cast a spell, another spell. Okay, so there's movement on the Windswept Heath here, so this could be, it could be good old-fashioned counterspell even. You've got Savannah, so they've played into Wasteland, but they have to assume this is going to die. Neoform, okay. Are they some kind of pod variant, like Legacy pod? Yeah, I'm very confused with what my opponent's doing. Neoform is generally not a card that you play unless you're playing unfair Magic. So hopefully we'll be able to have a little peek and maybe get a better idea of where at least where their hand goes. Okay, so now we know how they're sacrificing and why maybe they had cards they weren't playing in the previous game. Just a value one? That seems like an odd choice to me. I won't lie. So what does my opponent have here? So we have Solitude, Force of Will, Night of Autumn. So a whole bunch of things. Sure, I don't really know what I'm going to name with this. If we name Force of Will, it means we can resolve another spell this turn, but they have lots of removal spells they can throw out. I think we still name the Force of Will and then we force out all the removal spells on their turn. So now this is probably getting ploughed. So if this resolves, they can't cast a Swords of Plowshares this turn. So there's the Brainstorm we know about. So they'll probably be putting this Force of Will back. So this is going to pump this. So this is going to trade into this if I attack. Which I think is going to have to happen at some point. So we'll attack the Teferi. It's not great, but I think this has to get off the board at some stage. And that's just the state we're in. So if they don't have a shuffle effect, then we know, okay, so one of these cards they may not have if they shuffle this. Night of Autumn. Sure, this is presumably going to blow up an artifact. Yeah, sure, can't do much about that. Kind of need some sort of Urza's Saga plan to take over this game with, really. My time on the clock is not great either. Rector. Okay, so they're a Rector deck. Oh, wow. That's definitely encouraging me to plough the Rector. So I think we just go ahead and plough this straight away. While they don't have any resources available to... They can't Force of Will it. So then we go to attacks. I think this attacks Teferi. So this will either get a chump or the Teferi. So either way it's going to take... Okay, so it's getting a chump. That's fine. And I think then we go for a Fiddlebender. Oh, I've already cast the thing, so I can't actually do that, can I? I played that the wrong way around there. We're going to play out the Crucible. Yeah, if we play the Oswald first there, then it doesn't get hit by our own cannons. So there's some sort of bizarre Rector deck. We know this. So the Force of Will, we're assuming is something they don't have. Okay, so they are bouncing back their own Oath of Nissa. Okay, so we can start making inroads on their life total in theory, but we'll be able to see another card into their deck now. I assume they're just going to pay for everything. They've got so much mana, the Esper Sentinel's not really doing a great deal. So we'll definitely be turning it sideways even in the face of the Death Touch Snake. So they've got a Nicol Bolas in hand. Okay, a Rector would be bad news for me. Or the Rector gets from library actually, so this wouldn't be so bad. That's why they run the Abundant Growth, just to cast these things, but they're going to need 2 black pips and a red pip before they can cast this. Although they have Oath of Nissa actually, don't they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they can cast this on their next turn because of the Oath of Nissa. So if I'd have played my previous turn differently... So basically we're priced into using Wastelands this turn to stop them casting Nicol Bolas. So I think we attack with all creatures here. We've got the Snake. We've got Swords to Plowshares. I assume they're going to pay. Surprised we won't hit this slightly bigger beta. We can keep them off of Nicol Bolas quite well with our current setup. Okay, so we're going to lose the Anointed Peacekeeper. Sure. Green source. We'll play this Wasteland. We will Wasteland this. We will cast the Fiddlebender. Cast this. Probably should have kept the Wasteland up instead of this, but this way they'll be playing around Plough with their Rector, so they might not play it. And we will name black, I think. I don't think it matters here. So they can't cast Nicol Bolas this turn. We can still double Wasteland next turn if we need to. Yeah, I think representing a Plough here is slightly better than Wastelanding something here because they don't have the Euron in hand yet. So again, this could all prove wrong, but this way they have to play around if they have Rector. Have to immediately lead it. So they're just going to cast a Solitude. So this presumably goes after my Painter's Servant or my Oswald. The Painter's Servant, sure. Definitely running a bit light on clock here. So we play this out. Put our Wasteland. So now we can use this to go and get a Painter's Servant. Price this. Pithing Needle, or we can get a Shadow Spear and go to the races. This is Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. Unfortunately, we can't really attack here, so we're going to sacrifice this on there. Basically, we really needed to draw an Urza Saga to put this game away. If we draw one Urza Saga, I think we can win the game here. This deck doesn't run Expedition Map, and people have talked about it as an option. I'm just going to bounce my Fiddlebender. Sure. I think Expedition Map is generally too slow for this deck. Because you're not trying to assemble a combo with the land you find. It doesn't just win you the game. Sure. Swords to Plowshares my guy. I think I might lose the clock on this one if I'm not careful. We're not blocking this. Okay. Cast this. Just keep them wastelanded out. So they have the Rector. So presumably they have some other scary targets that I need to worry about. It's Esper Sentinel. Cast this. So if this dies, then I'm going to be in trouble with that. What we can do is we can play the Ancient Den. I think I boarded out the Portable Hole, didn't I? So we can't fetch the Portable Hole here. This and have another look. Grindstone, Shadow Spear, Soul Guide Lantern. None of these do really what we need to do here. So we're just going to get a Grindstone and might have to manually grind here. We can't attack into the Rector. Okay, I think our plan has become a weird one. So we have a Neoform here. So what we're going to do is we're going to mill them in the hopes that we spike the one of the things they're looking for. So we did hit a Nicol Bolas though. Okay, they have an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So we're going to sweep all of these away. And then I don't think I can realistically... No, I think I have to concede this one and try and win in a few minutes. So I think because of the clock, we're going to be boarding all of these back in. We just need to go fast, I think. Soul Guide Lantern seemed less useful than I thought it was going to be. Pithing Needle was fine. I don't think this is going to be a Shadow Spear game due to time constraints. It's not going to be a Crucible game due to time constraints. These are still fine, I think, and Swords to Plowshares less useful. They do stop degenerate Rector things, but then so does Rest in Peace. So these will stop every single Rector, but they do die to Night of Autumn. It stops me being randomly surgical extractioned as well. This can blow up problem permanents if it comes to it. Cut these and we add in the portable hull in case we need to shoot it for it. Okay, I'm going to go with this and we're going to go fast. I would like to play, please. What does this hand do? Yep, this hand seems fine. Okay, let me just pass through that turn. We need to get better at passing priority in Magic Online. Sure, there's the Swords to Plowshares. So we play out the Urza Saga, Fiddlebender, and then that's our turn. Plenty of time, hope you're alright. This should get some sort of answer if they have one. Okay, so their prismatic ending. That's the impression I get because they tapped this then untapped it. Nope, they're just going to cast a Ponder. Sure. Let me just play this out. I think we attack all creatures. And we'll make a token. We might be on a beatdown plan here. This is going to find me a grindstone. Go quicker. This is pretty good actually. If I portable hold this, it's going to really cause them problems. So I think I create a colourless, and no, we can't make a token here. We just have to float mana because I don't have the Mox Opal in my deck anymore. So we get the grindstone here. We cast this on the Veteran Explorer. Cast this. No, we don't want to do that. We just want to play out this. We're going to name Teferi. Attack with all creatures. Okay, we're not going to have any plays this turn. That's not true actually. We might be able to Caracas our guy. So we have to wait. Just use the pass until action button. Oh, this is tense. Arena Rector, sure. Okay, so we'll cast this. So this won't die anymore. So if I go to attacks and this guy dies, it won't get them anything. Now they might not know that. So they're probably not going to be very happy about that. Sure, an abundant growth. Oh, I don't have any plays, and you just press F6 as 10. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Brainstorm, that doesn't impact the board. We've got the Teferi covered. This is 4, 5, 6. If I play this out, find... Okay, so if we play this guy out and find an Ancient Den, we win the game. Always yield. We choose... Oh, yes. Look at that. Exactly how we drew it up. Play this. Play this. Obviously, they can have a Swords to Plowshares here, but we put lethal damage into play, so it's the least we can do. Okay, so they've got the Swords to Plowshares, so I'm going to take 2 this turn. They could have the Snake. It won't have Death. It will have Death Touch, so they'll be able to trade with this. But I think we have to play into the trying to win the game angle of things. So next turn, if we draw a land, we can combo them. We don't have any more plays this turn, so we just need to pass. We don't have any plays this turn, so we have to pass. Put Yorion into the hand. Yes, I would like a counter on this. So we just drew that instead. So we didn't draw the land, so I think this turn we just make this. Okay, we win. So we had next turn we vial this in and we grind them. If we draw an additional mana, we can tap, sacrifice the Pithing Needle to go and get the Painter's Servant. And if they try and blow up my grindstone or something weird in response, I can then vial in the Painter and grind them if I draw the land. So we managed to just about pull that one out. Whew, it's dicey. Let's go into another round. Straight into another round. This is my opening hand. I cannot keep this because there's no mana sources. Mulligan. This hand has mana sources in. We'll keep it. We have to work out what we put back. We need to keep our basic land. it's a case of, do I want to keep all of these lands? So the Caracas will cover Reanimator in a very similar fashion to Soul Guide Lantern here. The Grindstone is a bit slow. We're probably on the Lion Sash route here, so I think we'd probably bottom the Soul Guide Lantern. And then lead out with Mother of Runes. Like if they can make a turn 1 Grizzlebrand, it wouldn't have mattered if I keep the Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. The first thing they out of their hand is a Lotus Petal is never a great sign for me. A Faithless Looting. Okay, so they are Reanimator. So the Soul Guide Lantern might have actually been a good keep here. But we'll see what they discard. If they discard a Grizzlebrand, then we can Caracas. This is a bad matchup. If it is Reanimator. So they haven't left me a wastelandable thing, so we're just going to play this out. And we're going to play the Mother of Runes because they can draw the cards in response to me Caracasing their Grizzlebrand, so I may as well get on board first. So what we're ideally hoping for is to survive until my turn 3. Okay, so they're just Faithless Looting a lot. Sheoldred. 4 mana Sheoldred is not a particularly scary threat in the face of a Caracas. Oh, they might be the little sort of Burning Inquiry brew that people have been trying to build. So basically you use Sheoldred as a combo piece instead of oh good lord, this isn't a great piece. I think we just play out the Grindstone here. So we're closer to making the win. I think we attack here. I think that's the better play. So we have the Caracas, so Sheoldred doesn't do a great deal against us. Okay, Lotus Petal. And we've drawn a Wasteland. I seem to have a lot of these Wastelands here. Okay, we'll play out the Shadow Spear. We won't equip it this turn. I think this turn we just attack for 1. I want to keep the Caracas up in case they are doing some sort of degenerate combo with Burning Inquiry. I don't want to get hit. I don't want a Sheoldred to come into play and then get me that way. Hopefully my opponent's hands just kind of fizzled out and not done a lot. Well, that is pretty much what's happened, but it only takes one more thing and then they can get some things in play. They're a little scary. Okay, so they've cast 3 Faithless Lootings this game. And a Thoughtseize. So there's an Exhume, which gives me the impression that they maybe have some sort of ability to bring it back in their hand. Or they're just accepting that they can't do that because of... Okay, so this turn we cast Painter's Servant and we name black in case they have Snuff Out, although black can enable their grief, but I don't care about their grief, so I think that's fine. So what we do here is we do not attack and we pass the turn. We hold up this Caracas and then we untap and mill out their whole library. Okay, so we don't know much about the deck, but we know it wants to reanimate things and it wants to cast multiple spells. So Grafdigger's Cage is good. Deafening Silence are good against decks that want a multiple spell. Faithless Looting, Resting Peace is a good spell. If I bring in Sheoldreds, I might want these Source to Plowshares. So we're gonna be boarding out this Crucible of Worlds. I think that's a given. I don't think we'll need the Hope of Ghirapur either. The Portable Hole didn't have any targets apart from the Lotus Petals, which are rarely going to capture them anyway. Seal of Cleansing is fine if they have Animate Dead, but we can't be sure they're going to have anything like that. Source to Plowshares is a way of dealing with some of the bigger creatures they're looking to reanimate. So we need to find quite a few more cuts here. So we've got 3 here, so we need some more. We can't board out any of these bits. The combo is probably quite good. But they're most certainly running Meltdown, so I think we can trim on combo pieces here. I don't know if I'm going to need the life gain because they are playing a whole bunch of different things that might require, like if they are doing the Burning Inquiry combo, I think we want to be able to do something about that and gain some life to make it so we're not just dead to Shoulder, and we can maybe race it. Canonist seems fine for the same reasons as Deafening Silence. Genius Smith is one of our beatdown tools. I guess we can trim a Fiddlebender. I think we can trim the Mox Opal. I'm increasingly trimming the Mox. I think we actually trim the Ether Vials here because they might be bringing in disruption. So I think the Fiddlebender, because it doesn't care about Meltdown, is better than having the 4th Painter 7. So we're going to board like this. I don't like the Ether Vials particularly because I think I need to do something on all my turns, and something that can just get Meltdowned that doesn't actually do anything the turn I cast it against a deck that's probably looking to do things quickly is not going to work. So we're going to submit this, and I think we are good. So I have turn 1 Graveyard Hate. We will keep this. It can just get Thoughtseize out my hand, of course, but we can Urza Saga for the Soulguide Lantern. So Chancellor of the Annex has been revealed, I see. So we have choices here of whether or not we play something into the Chancellor on turn 1 or not. Just in case you want to double spell on the next turn. So I think we just play out the Caracas this turn, and then next turn we play Grafdigger's Cage playing around the Chancellor. I didn't see any Wasteland, and I'd be very surprised if there were any Wasteland sort of shenanigans in there, but there might be things that destroy permanents, but there'll be reanimation targets, like the black-white guy that you sometimes see. Are they going to entomb? They did not entomb. Okay. So we'll pass through until we need to respond. If I can get my next turn, that would be good. Okay, so very much in Swamp Town. That's not a great thing to see your opponent cast. Grief. So Grief is going to take my Grafdigger's Cage here, which is a pity. It might not take it. It depends on what their hand looks like, but I'd be surprised they didn't take the Grafdigger's Cage here. So we have to pay the Chancellor tax on our first spell. I would have liked to have cast this, but I think we can just play an Urza Saga game here. I think we play out the Mother of Runes here. That way we can stonewall the Grief. It'll take 2 creatures to block it, perhaps, but I think the correct play is this. I'm going to have to pay the 1, pay the 1, and then we just have 6 for each turns. We just get better at doing that when I don't have any plays. So to playing blue decks where you have to think even when your hand's empty, even when your lands are tapped. Sorry, because you might be able to have a Force of Will, or at least you should be trying to bluff a Force of Will. Sure, I can't do anything about this Grief, so we're just going to take some damage. So if we play out the Painter's Servant here, we can just kill them next turn if our Painter's Servant survives, because this will go get a Grindstone and we have the mana. So I quite like winning the game, so I'm actually just going to cast this. So we still haven't seen any snuff outs, so I'm going to name white, I think. So that might make them think about Solitude as an option. We are not attacking this turn. We would like to untap into Grindstone and the win. Entomb. Sure. Is this going to be a Grizzlebrand or an Archon of Cruelty? An Archon of Cruelty would be quite good here. Semmer's Emissary. That presumably is going to give them protection from artifacts, which is going to make my plan of milling them a little bit difficult. But it does mean I can draw a Source of Plowshares and kill their creature. Animate Dead. Okay, so we can... No, we brought out the Portable Hole, I think, didn't we? Sure. Kind of wish I had the Portable Hole now, because then... oh, wait, this can't find Portable Hole anyway, but it just gives me an additional draw. I think, that, yeah, the Source of Plowshares here does it anyway. They got protection from artifacts. Sure. If I block with Grief here, whichever one they put first, I give protection from. I think that works, right? If they put this one first, I get protection. I go this one protection. It tries to do a 1 to this and can't. Do I want the Grief off the board? No, because they can reanimate it. I think I'm actually better off taking the 3 here. Sure. Okay. So the Urza Saga beatdown plan is pretty poor as well now. Taps for mana, and then we're going to go searching. What is the thing we find here? So we can find a Shadow Spear and try and race using the Ingenious Smith. I don't hate that as a plan. I think we'll do this as our plan. So we'll use that mana to cast this. This obviously can't find the Swords to Plowshares that I'm looking for. And there is one there, of course there is. So we need to play an artifact out this turn. We play this one out, and we tap this. So this is going to let us make artifacts on their turn to grow our Ingenious Smith, which has to be the way we win this game, I think. So we're going to grow this guy big enough to fight against the Sarah's Emissary. So next time we can play this out to pump this, and then in their turn make an Urza Saga. Okay, do we want to double block? Do the play that we were thinking about before. Now they have mana open. I think we might have to though, just because of our life total. So I think we do this block. Okay, which order are you doing them? In this order. I'm going to give this protection from black. So we're not in the market for this anymore, so we're gonna and we're gonna play this Lion Sash. This is going to be our new strategy. Although this is an artifact, so we have to equip it to this to get the damages in. Play this, so we're gonna have to equip both of these. How much does the equip cost? 2. So we're taking 6 this turn. I think we just exile this straight away with this. And then next turn we pay 2 to equip on here, 2 to equip on here, and this will race for a little bit of damage. You kind of need them to not... Obviously if I draw a Swords to Plowshares at any point we would just automatically win the game, which is fine too. So let's have a think. Exile, it's permanent cards that put counters on it. Okay, so we can draw a Swords to Plowshares this turn, or not. Again, I think we just need mana here. Pithing Needle, Grindstone, Soulguide Lantern. I think Soulguide Lantern is just a redraw here. So just get rid of the things that I can't exile to make my creature bigger. So this will be 4, 5. So this will put me with enough range to lifesteal my way out. Let's play this out. So we go attach to this guy. This makes it 3-3. This makes it 4-4. Wait, have I done my maths wrong here? How haven't I? That isn't enough, is it? This is only going to give me 4. This is a 1-1 that gets +1/+1s, isn't it? So this gives me +1/+1. So I think we just naturally need to draw a card off the Soulguide Lantern here. Rest in peace. That doesn't do anything. Wait, I had my 1 mana floating, didn't I? Oh my god. I did have enough to equip this and gain the 1 life that I planned on doing. Oh my god. What a mistake to make here. Yes, I forgot my 1 floating. I had done the right mana and then just forgot to look at it in my pool over there. No, we are just done here. Alright. I misplayed. I don't know if I can still necessarily win that game. I think it's quite likely I win that game if I don't make that misplay. Especially since I can grind more things into their graveyard to exile. So that was a bit of a bad misplay there. Okay. So I was happy with how the sideboard looked. This turn we can make graveyard hate on turn 1, so let's give that a go. I would like to play first. So we have here Deafening Silence into Lion Sash. Is this good enough? I don't know if it is. This stops them animating anything on turn 1, but it means they can just get something on turn 2. I think we have to mulligan this. We're looking for... This is basically the same hand again, isn't it? But it does give me a chance to draw into the hate that way. Or I can play it on Urza's Saga turn 1, and then turn 3 I get a piece of graveyard hate. I think we have to mulligan again. Well, this hand goes fast. It doesn't need a lot of mana to work. So we mulligan to these 4 cards. If we mulligan to 4, this is a tricky one. If we keep this, they can reanimate something on turn 1. If I mulligan, I've got what? I don't know if I have enough hits to make a mulligan to 4 worthwhile here. This is a really difficult decision. I think we keep this. So this will find us a piece of graveyard hate. This will find us a piece of graveyard hate, but they both find us a piece of graveyard hate on the same turn if I play this up turn 1. So because we're doing that on turn 1, I don't think we can keep the Esper Sentinels. I don't think that's the game we're playing here. I think we play this out. I wish I hadn't misplayed in that previous game. I just didn't see the mana floating. I did all the other stuff first. Again, I'm still not sure if I win that game, but I get to have an increasingly large amount of life gained every turn. So we turn 2 we make Painted Servant. Turn 3, so hopefully we draw a land at some point. And then we can grind away their library. Lotus Petal, not great. What are we going to see from them? A Dark Ritual as well. Okay, so we're probably dead here. Show and tell. Show and tell. I can't respond to this. If we put this into play, it doesn't help. I think we put this into play and we use it to go digging. So this isn't actually the quickest of clocks. It takes 3 turns. Let's see up to this. Very funny deck. Very funny. I guess we... Here's Soul Lantern. We are ideally looking for an Ancient Den there. Okay, so that's fine. It's not fine, but it's something. So this can get us the what do you call it? Shadow Spear, and change the way with the clock works. Okay, so we play out the Plains this turn and the Painted Servant, so at least we're giving ourselves the ability to win very quickly if we find the Swords to Plowshares. Alternatively, we could play the Soul Guide Lantern out here for the purposes of pumping this guy and having a redraw. I think the mana efficient play is probably right. They've got 3 cards in hand. I think it's unlikely that they would have cast Show and Tell if they had a way of putting stuff in the graveyard and reanimating it. I don't think we have the time to play around that. I think we have to play this and then next turn possibly Soul Guide Lantern and pop it. We'll name white. This guy will get pumped. And then we have to ship it. We're not attacking into the 7/7. We're not going to play this turn, so we just have 6 a turn. Take 7. They're on 1 land. Got more plays? Oh wow, they do have more plays. Oh wow, they did have it, so I should have played the Soulguide Lantern out. Jeez. Oh, I'm getting really punished if I missed playing that last game. Archon of Cruelty. Have they got the reanimation spell as well? Sometimes your opponent does have it all. I think we have to sacrifice the Ingenious Smith here. And if we're discarding a card, we can't discard the land. This gives us a redraw to keep us alive. No. If we'd played out that Soulguide Lantern, we could have kept ourselves alive for another turn. If I draw the Swords of Plowshares now, that would be quite annoying as well. Animate Dead. That's a very weird play to me. Unnecessary, just flexing on me because they have it all, I guess. I guess they can find a Lotus Petal. It would be upsetting if they did have a Lotus Petal, just because getting the extra value off my guy. Sure. So what are we cheering for here? None of these do a great deal of anything, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I suppose we just get a Shadow Spear for the sake of it. And we drew the Ancient Den. So we are dead. Oh, that misplay has really annoyed me. I just didn't see the mana in my pool. Another loss to the inexperience with Magic Online, I guess. Oh well, let's go into another game. Start off with a friendly Esper Sentinel. So they got 60 card decks, so they're not a Yorion deck. Let's pass for its turn because we didn't have any operations. Cabin of Souls. Okay. So that makes me... Okay, Goblin. They've... Ignoble Hierarch is not the Goblin I was expecting to see off of that, if I'm being honest with you. So we can waste on that and Swords to Plowshares their guy, which is certainly a real play. Or we can Urza Saga into Canonist. We can play this so we get the combo online because they're probably not going to be interacting with me the most. So I think we play the Canonist to stop any really OP stuff going. And then next turn we can play the Painted Servant with a Swords to Plowshares or Wasteland, depending on what we feel is the right play. Probably going to be the Swords to Plowshares. So we play out the Ancient Den, we tap, we put in the actually probably play the Wasteland. Yeah, so we put in the Painted Servant, hold up Swords to Plowshares next turn, and then the following turn the Urza Saga pops, gets Grindstone, I mill them out. That's what we call a plan. But we'll see what sort of deck this is. Ignoble Hierarch is not one you see every day. So shenanigans are afoot. Okay. You can't cast another spell because of Ethersworn Canonist. That's how this card works. That's why I played it, because if you're doing something degenerate and broken, this is probably going to be the one that interferes with you the most. Sure, so I guess we play the Ancient Den here, and we're going to go 1, 2, play out this Painter's Servant, and we're going to name black, I think. So I think if we Swords to Plowshares this and Archimancer now, that'll stop him from having a very scary turn next turn. That's the plan anyway. And it also means we get to attack with all my creatures. Just in case that ends up mattering later on. So we want them to tap out for something that doesn't affect my board, ideally. Quite exactly what they would do with that, I don't know. But because they're a red deck, we have to watch out for Lightning Bolt as an option here. Although, okay, I'm just tapping out 4. Is this Minsk and Boo? That's the best thing I can think of in those colours, really, at this point. Goblin Matron, okay. So what are they putting on top of their deck? This is in their hand, isn't it? I can't put it in your hand. Let's see what they get. I'm thinking of the one that's banned, aren't I? Recruiter, I think. Lets you stack your whole deck. I played against it in Cube the other day, so it's on my mind. Okay. What are we doing? Ringleader. Okay. That gives me the impression that they don't have that they have the lightning bolt rather than getting getting something to. Okay, so we're just going to add this. Okay, put Grindstone into play, and then they went. Okay, so what I was going to do is I was going to hold up. So basically, they can't cast any spells the rest of the game because I have it's one counterist. So if they cast a spell, they get ground out. Begin sideboarding. So it didn't look like they were playing fair spells. So it looked like Deafening Silence might be a thing we want. Source Plowshares is definitely a thing we want. The Anointed Peacekeeper roadblocks a lot of the bodies that they are bringing to the table. And it can mess with some combo-y things. Grafdigger's Cage can stop the Goblin Snoop, Conspicuous Snoop guy. So I think these are the options we're looking at. Like we could also even bring in some removal this way, but I don't think this is a Hope of Girippa deck. I'm not convinced Ether Vials are good in this matchup. I want all my spells to do something. They've got black mana if they've got discard, and if they look at your hand and see Ether Vial and guys and take the guys, and you just got this Vial. And in this deck, it only ever taps for 2 mana anyway. I definitely poured out the Vial more than other people tend to. Pithing Needle, if they're playing the combo build that gets Conspicuous Snoop and makes a load of guys with Kiki Jiki, then I want to have the Pithing Needle on Conspicuous Snoop. Shadow Spear if I have to trade. I don't think this is going to be doing anything. Esper Sentinel doesn't seem great here actually, because it's going to be well, they're a creature deck to be honest. So we could board these out, which means we definitely want the Peacekeepers because we need a threat. And we're boarding in 1-drops here. I don't know if this is a Crucible. They did look relatively vulnerable to Wastelands in that game, but I don't know if that's indicative of how they're always going to be. So I think we'll probably just cut the Crucible and rely on these sorts of pieces. Probably trim a piece of each combo here. Actually, probably get rid of this and keep the Painter Servant in, I think. Yeah, okay, we're going to go with it like this. So there's a lot of sideboard on this one. I'm not sure if it's right, but again, I'm not 100% on what my opponent's deck is. I think it's the one that has Conspicuous Snoop and then puts Kiki Jiki on top of their library and basically makes an infinite bunch of guys. So this stops them doing anything too broken straight away, or it gives me a Mother of Runes. And then I can curve into Anointed Peacekeeper. I'm going to take a bit of damage from this, but they looked less aggressive than the traditional Goblins decks, which is a beatdown deck. They were playing like Mana Dorks, and they were playing the guy that makes all their spells cheaper. So these aren't traditionally... Okay, so we have this. So we want to play a Mother of Runes to block the Lackey. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries. That's not... that doesn't include hands, unfortunately. So we're going to play this Mother of Runes, and we're going to try and trade with the Goblin Lackey. And then stick a 2-drop, then a 3-drop. And then hope that that does something. Okay, Ancient Tombs. This could be Favour the Mirror Breaker. What does this do? Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Oh, so this is the new Lord. I see. Whenever a goblin dies, it's using. So this guy is just going to hit me. So do I want to trade this to stop them getting one of the 4 cards from their hand into play? I think I do, which is bad. But I think if it's a Muxus, I just lose the game on the spot. So I think just having to let this guy die is unfortunate, but it's where we're at. And then at least we can try and trade with the Canonist next turn. This is not a great start, but if we can get the Anointed Peacekeeper into play, it's bigger than a lot of the goblins they're going to be able to put out. Is this until end of your next turn? Okay, so if they die on my turn, they still get to get a free card out of it. Then I have to cast it immediately. So we have to trade the Canonist for the Lackey here. Fury. That's really bad. So they're going to kill my Canonist, and they're going to attack for 3. And if they've got a Muxus in their hand, then they win the game. Sure. There's the Muxus. That's why we were blocking before. Let's see. Maybe it won't hit. So we got Squee. What does this one do? That's a weird one. Is that just for the purposes of Fury? That seems odd to me. So now they're sling ganging, so they get to draw some cards. I think we just F6 this turn and see how bad it is. I'm assuming I'm going to be dead this turn. We may be able to get a little bit more information about what they're playing with. Okay, they're trying to pay costs or something. What is this going to be? A Goblin Ringleader. Sure. What are we doing here? We play out the Peacekeeper. We block this. We take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, so we're dead on board. Sure. Okay, well that was a short one. Okay. We do not want to get killed by those little guys. So maybe we need the Sentinels just as a blocker on turn 1. That seems very poor. I'm not really a fan of this. We cut the Council's Judgment just because they're a little bit slow, I think. Deafening Silences, the Esper Sentinels, the Grafdigger's Cage stops Muxus as well, so I think we have to keep the cage in. Pithing Needle, Sling Gang Lieutenant is a fine thing to hit with that. We trim these. I kind of want this Grindstone back in just so I can go quickly, because they're not going to have a lot of interaction apart from Trash Master, I don't think. This is what I'm going with. There is also the option of playing Hope of Girapur, because it can block, and then I can Caracas it back and sort of create an infinite loop of blocking a big guy. But I think we're fine with this. The only thing I'd be tempted to try that for would be the Fiddlebender. Is a 1-mana 1/1 flyer going to be better than this 2/2? I don't think so. Especially since it can find me a win. We're going to be on the play. So what does this hand do? We can source the Plowshare as the first guy and then play out another guy. So we will keep this hand, and we're going to play out the Deafening Silence first, I think, just to get it out of our hand. Or we hold. I think it might actually be better to hold the Source to Plowshares up just in case I have a Lackey. So I'm going to do that actually, because if I can Source Plowshare their Lackey on the first turn, and then untap into Ingenious Smith, I'm doing a bit better, I think. Okay, they had no play. Sure. So no Lackey, that's good for me. Another one of those, that's what we want to see. I'm going to play the Caracas out. Actually, no. Yeah, we're going to play the Caracas out so we can Ancient Den for the Ingenious Smith next turn. So let's see some cards. Okay, A grindstone is quite nice here. The lion slash will quite quickly outgrow goblins, but they need to be stuffed in the bin. I think we're going to take the grindstone here and give them the fear of the combo here. We're not going to have any plays in their turn, so we can have 6 it. Next time we play out the Ancient Den and probably the Oswald, depending on what they do, whether I need to Swords to Plowshares or anything. They can play that weird little guy. Okay, so this changes things slightly. So we play this out. Pump the guy. So we're going to play out 1, 2. We're going to play out Painter Servant. And we're going to name white. And we're going to Swords to Plowshares this guy. I'm going to go to attacks. And then if I draw a land next turn, I can mill them out. So they really have to respect the Painted Servant. So if they have removal, they have to point it this way, and then I can carry on the beatdown plan with Swords to Plowshares when they eventually commit to the board. So I'm in a comfortable position, I would say, here. Ancient Tomb, giving them the acceleration, could be a problem. We'll see. It's going to be a Goblin Ringleader, sure. What are you going to reveal? A Lackey. Okay, so some guys, basically. So if I draw a land this turn, we just get to kill them. Which is something I'm very in the mood to do. Okay, we did not draw the land this turn, so we play white for this. And we pump our guy. And we pay white for this Deafening Silence, which is going to stop them deploying multiple threats this turn. And then we're going to attack with my 3/3. Just this one. And then we have a Swords to Plowshares up to cover anything we need to. And then we can untap into Grindstone. So they need to... Well, the combo is out in front of them, so... They've got a lot of cards in hand though, so if they have ways of dealing with... They could also have Fury as an option here. But that Fury means that they can only kill the Painter's Servant. If they have another land, they can play Fury Hardcast, which would be pretty good. I'll Swords to Plowshares it and carry on attacking, but it means I'm going to lose my Painter's Servant. Okay, they just didn't have anything. Okay, so that's another win. So we're 2-1 after... And the one I lost was me not seeing mana floating. So, okay, we're doing all right. Let's go into another round. Okay, we're into the next round. I am on the play. This is a weird hand. I'm going to keep it, though. We're relatively odds on for drawing a land here. We have a combo sewn up. We have a little bit of protection, and we can get this Mox Opal out next turn. So we're going to keep it. This is definitely what I would describe as a marginal keep. So we're going to play this out. We're going to play Hope of Giripur. This might just get Force of Will because nobody knows what it does. I think we play out the Mox this turn as well. And then next turn we can play out the Grindstone and turn on the Mox. Hopefully we'll just draw a land though. That would be the ideal draw next turn. And then we can sort of almost have it sewn up combo-wise. Pretty sharpish. Gotta make him play Bloodstone Mire. Okay, so this is most likely going to be a Reanimator, which is the worst matchup for this deck in my opinion. Is that a ritual? Oh, just a Thoughtseize. So they're probably going to take my Painter's Servant or my Grindstone here. That would be my assumption. The Grindstone is the better take purely because of how my mana is set up right now. But if I draw a land, it won't be. So they're going to have to sort of decide whether they want to respect my drawing of a land or they want to respect the combo. This is obviously harder to find the Painter's Servant because there's a Sagas in the format. So it should be between one of these two unless they have something, unless a deck does something completely off the wall that makes Canonist or Crucible the take for them. Okay, so took the Grindstone to try and tap my mana, which I think is a fine play. This is the way they get punished for making that play, however. So this is also turned on now, so I can play Crucible of Worlds, but I don't have anything to go with it. So what we're actually going to do here is play out the Canonist here. So that means they won't be able to make and reanimate a guy on their turn if they are indeed a reanimated deck. Now they're pausing on this, which could mean that they have a Force of Will, and they're something more akin to Doomsday. However, they did pause a long time after Thought Seizing me, so maybe they're just a bit slow on their playing at the moment. We get our nice little Thopter damage in. When this deck ran Retrofitter's Foundry, you sometimes got people by just making a 4/4 out of nowhere. But I don't think Retrofitter's Foundry is where I want to be. I think the Shadow Spear is the better of the two sorts of equipment, because Urza Saga does enough against control on its own, whereas the Shadow Spear is going to steal games that you would otherwise lose a bit more often than a Retrofitter's Foundry, in my opinion. Okay, a Scalding Tarn. So this is making me think it's not Reanimator. So it could be Grixis, which is the worst control matchup for this deck, because they have Hidetsugu's Second Right as well as Meltdown in the sideboard and just a bunch of removal. So okay, it might just be getting a mountain though, so it might not necessarily be Grixis. But I'm thinking more towards Grixis due to the fact they haven't made any additional plays. Okay, so they're playing around Wasteland quite nicely there. Let me play this out. Let me go to attacks. And then I'm going to cast this Crucible of Worlds, because of course I am. Let's leave open the white mana, the Wasteland. Sure, that got Force of Will. So I'm wholeheartedly leaning towards Grixis as the deck that they're playing. They really, really didn't want me to resolve that and Wasteland them, which makes me think that they are going to have a lot of non-basics. This will be another matchup where I get to test out the Anointed Peacekeeper though, which would be good. Although I have to play quicker knowing that, because I am notoriously slow at playing this at the moment, so I need to make sure I don't get beaten on clock. I don't want to have to try and win another game in like 4 minutes or whatever it was. Okay. So we go to combat. Play this out. Let's see if this gets a response. Okay, so I don't want to name blue because I don't want them to get Force of Will. If I name black, they might have some removal that only hits black creatures. That seems quite unlikely. So I'm going to name white, I think. I'm going to keep this land in hand to give them something to think about, because all the things I can draw won't really matter if I have a plains in hand. And I can, if I do draw something like as a saga, I can use the Hope of Girip, not a grindstone. I can use the Hope of Girip's ability to mess with my opponent's responses, so they won't be able to respond, so I can just grind them out. Expressive Iteration, yeah, this definitely just feels like a pretty standard Grixis control deck. Whether or not they have anything spicy in it remains to be seen. Sometimes you can fit things like Hull Breacher in there, but I think it looks like they're just playing good cards, which I think is correct. So I don't think Thoughtseize is actually a great card these days at the moment, but I think Grixis lets it plan its game plan around it a little bit more, because Grixis has relatively specific answers, so it's harder to play. So if you have the information, then I think it's better. Okay, so they're now on the old Baleful Strix defending themselves plan. This is good. Can I have a turn? Can I have a grindstone? I cannot have a grindstone, but I can have a guy that certainly is a friend of grindstones. So this guy has to get a Force of Will, I think. But they didn't Force of Will the Painter, so... Okay. I think we still keep this land in hand because we can play it next turn, crack, turn this into a grindstone, and win the game. Obviously, there's a multitude of things that can happen there. This has to deal damage. Unfortunately, it's not just an attack trigger like Xantid Swarm, but it does have power. And it's colourless, so you can't ask for everything. Or you can ask, I suppose. All right. I'm quite insulated against Hidetsugu's second right here as well. It just clips the Hope of Girapa. Also, once this gets the grindstone, my opponent is locked out of playing spells, because if they play a spell, then I can grind them because they're locked under the Canonist. Which is a really common play pattern you find with this deck, is that you get to lock people under Ethersworn Canonist. Colligan's Command, on the other hand, is a pretty good one. There's not a great deal I can do about that, so that set me back. That's another reason why this matchup is pretty horrible. They have lots of really powerful 2-for-1 effects that you can't do anything to play around. Okay, so we're back to rebuilding. So they would have lost if they played that. I see. I'm going to play this out. So that way if I draw a a Painter's Servant, I can just win still. We might start manually grinding them because these games can go quite long. They probably are a Snapcaster Mage deck, but if I look at what's in their graveyard already, it's not looking great for me. Because they can already Snapcaster Colligan's Command, Snapcaster Brainstorm, Snapcaster Expressive Iteration. So maybe I have to try and force them into some weird plays with a grindstone. I don't really like that play very much, but so if I had the Crucible, I could mill myself until I hit an Urza Saga and put the game away that way. Sure, Mystic Sanctuary. The Colligan's Command is back again. So now we mill them to stop them getting the Colligan's Command. So we wasted their Mystic Sanctuary. So we have no other play, so we need to F6 instead. We are currently ahead on clock, which is, if you've been watching my videos lately, isn't something that happens to me that often. It's annoying that I've got them so low as well. Just need to stop drawing lands. Okay, they resolved their Ponder. They did not shuffle. Portable Hole gives me the ability to push through quite a bit of damage here. Another Canonist is an interesting one. I think we play this land out now, just so we can cast the Canonist and hold up Grindstone. So we have two choices here. We can either... I think we have to attack through this turn. Force through 1 damage, I think. Okay, interesting they've gone for the Hope of Girapa. I thought they would have taken less damage. Okay, they had a Fatal Push anyway. Sure. Not a lot I can do about that, unfortunately. But at least I got the replacement Canonist. We need to try and get them their life total low enough. Well, low so we can actually... I think we're probably going to end up on a beatdown plan, but again, this deck can just randomly stumble into a win. And I have the Grindstone on board, so every turn they don't destroy my Grindstone or kill me or whatever. Okay, they're playing something here. 2 blue. Nasa, sure. So it doesn't let me draw extra cards. The only card that actually does that in my deck is Horizon Canopy, which I can use on my opponent's turn anyway. Earlier builds of this deck had... okay, so we have that. Interesting. I might just start manually grinding them now. I think it's not good, but I think if we have to, we have to. So let's try this play. Yeah, we also get to see more of their deck. Okay, this Wasteland isn't particularly great. I don't think there's much point hitting this. So I attack with my Eastbourne Canonist, it's going to get lightning bolted. If I don't attack my Eastbourne Canonist, it's going to get lightning bolted. So we're going to attack them. At this point, it doesn't really matter if they spin the wheel, if they've got the... They took it. That's interesting. They were obviously respecting this card in my hand. Let's trick them a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to make them think that they shouldn't be using their lightning bolt because I have a... Okay, they're just going to go straight up and do it after combat. Sure. Why not, I suppose. So I can mess with any brainstormy type stuff they do, or any Mystic Sanctuary, or I can manipulate the top of their library if I need to. Sure. So the lightning bolt's gone. What are you going to show me this time? What they should be doing as well at the moment is stacking, when they put the cards on the bottom, stacking in a way that there's not the same colours, just in case this game goes so long that matters. Is this a Snapcaster Mage? Hidetsugu's second right. So this is going to sweep up their own graveyard as well. So I'm less worried about milling them, having seen that now. I think it might just be the Mystic Sanctuary. So we're in a bit of a spot of bother, I would say, here. This matchup is horrible, as I mentioned earlier. A Mother of Runes. I think we play out the Mother of Runes. Do we play out the Wasteland here? I think we probably do play out the Wasteland. I think we start hitting their lands here. The Crucible's about to go anyway. Give me less mana to work with. But hopefully can mess with their colours because I've already put Volcanic Island in as well. So they might just not be able to have any more mana after that. So they might be reduced to playing one black and or red spell a turn. It's not a great play, but you make the plays you have to make sometimes. What's this? It's got Trample, so the Mother of Runes isn't going to be great at defending against that. But the Mother of Runes can chip away for for 1. I can always draw a Shadow Spear and start getting in. But they'll probably just hold this guy back on blocks. Which means he's not attacking me, which is nice. They've got 3 cards in hand. Okay, so I have another Underground Sea. A Wasteland. Well, the other Wastelands I cast, so might as well keep going. So this is going to flip this turn. I think we do attack. We attack them because the Narset's already on 1. Okay. So they're on 2. So I don't need a lot of guys to punch through. And I have a Mother of Runes, so if I get another guy, I can give it protection to punch through. This can't really afford to attack me unless they have another threat. Obviously they can have another Hidetsugu's second right, which would be bad for me. But they are behind on the clock, and they have a lot fewer cards in library. They're not a deck that plays a great amount of threats. If we look at their exile, so what we got. So the Fury, a Baleful Strix. So they've still got probably another 2 or 3 Baleful Strixes. They're probably both their Furies are gone though. So they might just have a Snapcaster Mage. So they probably don't actually have any good threats left in their deck, aside from Hidetsugu. But this can't attack me while I have a creature on board, unless they have a follow-up themselves. I chose not to shuffle their library. Day's Undoing. Sure, I guess I what do we do here? So the force of negation is gone, but they might still have another play. Okay. We cast this Source to Plowshares on this creature. It does give them 3 life, if it resolves. Okay. Sudden Edict. Well, I have no response to that available. I think I will play this out. I probably should have held this just in case I draw an Ingenious Smith, I think. One of the problems I find with these Grixis decks is they really struggle to actually win the game. So they take a very long time to do not necessarily a lot. So let's see if we can take some time off their clock. So they shuffle in those lands that I stopped them from having. So possibly they have a threat that requires them to have black. Yes, okay, yeah, so they needed to shuffle it in. So hitting the wastelands was fine there. And that did actually shut them off of one of their ways of winning the game. This guy can win the game pretty quickly, unfortunately. I hold this in case I draw an Ingenious Smith. So this is going to rapidly get out of control. Wow. You may reveal that. Oh, it's a May. I see. I thought it was just a straight up Dark Confident trigger at 4, which felt pretty baller. Let's play this guy. I suspect this guy will not resolve, or if he does, he will die immediately. Is this a high cast Force of Will? Yes. Sure. Again, we'll carry on holding the Ancient Den. Like, we can still backdoor into a combo over a few turns. Like, the clock is slow, so we don't have to worry too much about it. Like, obviously, they're miles ahead. They've got loads of cards in hand, whatever, but there is a very slim possibility that their cards in hand don't interact in the specific way that they want them to with the things I present them. Again, do I hold this for Ingenious Smith? I think I probably do, or I can equip the Shadow Spirit. No, I think we just hold this for Ingenious Smith, because getting that guy big enough is going to be important. Okay, so there's a Lightning Bolt. We get to see a little bit more of their deck. So this is 5 this turn, and then next turn it's another 5, and then the turn after that will be lethal. So I haven't got many turns left to draw things. They've got the Nasa in there, so we'll play this, and then we'll crack it on their turn. Unfortunately, we need to crack at their end step because they are a Thoughtseize deck, which is going to eat into my clock a little bit. Let's see what we get. The Ingenious Smith. So this guy doesn't save me, but he might be able to find me something that does. Like a portable hole, for example, will buy me another turn. Force of Will, sure. I'm pretty sure this is lights out. They don't have lethal on board though, so you might be able to choose cards to put in my hand. Just take the Painter's Servant here, just in case we get some sort of chance. I suspect they will just kill my guy and then kill me on the following turn. Lightning Bolt, sure. Okay, so let's go to sideboarding. This matchup is abysmal. Deafening Silence isn't where I want to be. The Source of Plowshares aren't great here. The Rest in Peace isn't great since they're doing that sort of stuff anyway. The Anointed Peacekeeper and the Council's Judgment is where I want to be here, though. The Soul Guide Lantern is fine, but not really great. The Hope of Girapur is okay, though. The Portable Hole isn't very good here. Doesn't hit Hidetsugu's second right. The Ether Valve should be good here, although they do get hit by Hidetsugu Consumes All, which is definitely a thing to worry about. I don't think this is as good as some of these things. Their deck is very adept at dealing with my combo, so we're going to board the combo down a little bit and try and win on the Anointed Peacekeeper front. We can keep the Crucible because even if they exile all the graveyards, I can still come back and play the as a side game or whatever, because I get to choose when they're in the graveyard effectively. I think I'm going to go with this configuration. I suspect I'm going to lose this game. Okay, this is my opening hand. It's pretty good. I've got Mother of Runes into Ingenious Smith. I'll take it. I do have a land that can die to Meltdown, which is a problem. But it's a land, and I think this hand is too good to not keep. So they're probably going to ponder on turn 1. No, Brainstorm on turn 1. That's a fascinating thing for me. That gives me the impression they don't have a lot of land. I don't know why you would do that on turn 1 unless you've got 2-drop that you really want to hit and you don't have land in hand. Even so, I don't know why you would do it on that turn and not on my turn. Who knows? Sure, this is a very good draw for me. It means I can play this out without having to worry about my lands getting meltdowned. Pithing Needle, Canonist. The Canonist was pretty good last time. I'm going to take the Canonist here. It does play into Meltdown, but the rest of my cards don't. F6. If we can win this one, we can probably get them with a timeout, maybe. It's not how I really want to play, but sometimes you've got to take your wins where you can. Okay. Holding up Mother Runes for my Ingenious Smith. Next time, I think we play Ancient Den into Anointed Peacekeeper. They are not a Daze deck, so I don't think I have to worry about Dazes. And probably it shouldn't even have that many Force of Wills left in their deck at this point. I would definitely board them out if I were them. Like, yes, you can hit combo pieces, but I think that what the other things they have are just better. So play this out. And play this out. So again, this dodges Meltdown and Hidetsugu consumes all. So they did have Force of Wills and they're burning one on this. Sure, that's fine by me. That's 2 cards. So my next turn will depend a lot on what my opponent does this turn, I think, and what I draw. I think it's probably going to be FS1 Canonist. But there are definitely options that can change my mind. We're definitely playing an artifact unless we draw an artifact land. Or a different artifact, then I guess we're still playing out. My opponent took a long time on that Brainstorm, which is essentially good news. I'm thinking they're just going to cast a Baleful Strix here. Judging by the way they fetched. Yep, sure. So I have options of trying to push damage with the Mother of Runes, or just to try and keep up, just keep my guy alive. So if we attack in with this, we can always cancel his Judgment this, which feels very poor. I think we're just going to cast one of these. So we have the choice. So if we attack and they block, I can give my guy protection, which means that they're sort of inclined to try and blow this up on their turn. I like this play, actually. It could be the wrong play. And give it protection black. So I get to kill their guy and get it out of the way. Because I think if I just sit there and get held off by that, I think I just lose the game. This way gives me a way of actually winning the game, which I think is important. It also means I can F6 a turn. But I think they would find an opportunity to remove that anyway, and if I just sit back, then I'm never going to never going to do anything, and they're just going to accrue loads of card advantage while I'm trying to get past this 1/1. So I think that's the correct play. I can make an alternative threat and Lion Sash that gets a bit bigger as well. We're in the market for playing out Lion Sash because the Mystic, the island that gets things back on top of their library name I've just briefly forgotten. That's going to be online soon, so if I get this out, then I can stop that from being a thing. This looks like it's probably going to be a... Oh no, what? Blue. Okay, this could be a Narset. A Meltdown, sure. Have they got the Fatal Push to follow up with? They do not have the Fatal Push. Okay, that's fine by me. So we'll play out this one Canonist. We'll pop me Ingenious Smith. So my play last time with the Mother of Runes has been rewarded as well. Hitsu consumes all. So this is going to hit the Ingenious Smith. So we will give my guy protection from black. So the Lion Sash looks less good now, because I'm not going to be able to eat that many things. If I draw a land, we can cancel Judgment there. Hitsu. Ideally a artifact land. So we kind of want to keep growing this guy. So we probably have to start playing... I think we have to play out the Lion Sash here. Plays really poorly into Colligan's command. But I think we just need to make sure our Ingenious Smith is always going to be bigger than whatever our opponent can muster. Sure. So this time we get to attack for quite a big chunk. So that's 7. That puts them to 4. So I can have 3 creatures. They have to block 2 of them next turn. If I can find a way of putting something in the bin, of course, because this is going to exile all graveyards. So the Lion Sash looks less great here, but I think we need to play it out to pump our guy to force through that extra 1 damage. Lightning Bolt, sure, that unlocks more spells from their hand, but they don't have an additional red source yet. So this actually lets me pump my Sash. Okay, sure. So that plan worked. So I don't think I have any problems with how I boarded here. Got a Source of Plowshares to slow things down still, and the Council of Judgment to slow things down, because these can hit Planeswalkers as well. Am I in the market for Seal of Cleansing? I don't think so. Am I in the market for more Source of Plowshares to try and run down my opponent's clock? I think we have to board that out for a start, actually. I think we should have that in the deck. I think an Ether Vial is probably... I know the Ether Vial's fine. There's only 3 of them. I'm running 4 Oswald's. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go like this. Got 1 more Source to Plowshares for the purposes of slowing down the game enough that my opponent can't win in time, if that comes to it. This is an interesting opening hand. It has an engine in it, and it has a 3-drop. I'm going to keep it. I'm not sure if this is a great keep or not, but I don't want to spend too much time on any of my decisions. Okay, so we can Urza Saga our way out to victory. So we're going to play out this now. We're just trying to give our opponent things to think about and do here. So we can try and play an Urza Saga game and force a Meltdown, or we can try and play the Anointed Peacekeeper game. I think we play out the Urza Saga this turn. So this will have to force action on their behalf eventually, because it's just too much of a powerful card. And then once I deal with it, we can Crucible of Worlds and then bring it all back again. An asset, sure. So they could be trying to go for a Days Undoing combo, which would be pretty good. What do they reveal? A Ponder, sure. I think we play out another Plains just in case we do get the wheel spun on us here. So we could play out the Anointed Peacekeeper here, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be playing into a Force of Will this turn, so I think we just have to pass and hope they don't have the card. So opponent's brainstorming. So they can't Days Undoing me this turn, which means I can kill their Narset if they don't have a removal spell for my Ezra Saga token. If they're spending cards on my Ezra Saga token, that's good. Okay, Colligan's Command. That is a slight issue for me. The Thoughtseize, sure. I'm probably going to lose my Crucible of Worlds here. Or they might take the Anointed Peacekeeper because they can Colligan's Command my Crucible. It's hard to say. They took the Peacekeeper for those reasons. We get an Ether Vial here, I think. Haven't given us a great opportunity to mess with their mana base or anything, so we'll just play this out. I think we have to kill the Narset for the purposes of Days Undoing here. Which isn't really where I want to be. But I think that's for the best. So the Colligan's Command can hit. I've got a lot of artifacts, and 2 damage isn't going to be enough to blow up any of my things. But they can make me discard a card, but I can just discard a Wasteland because that's not doing anything. So I have no problems with that. Damage plays his turn to F6. They're in the red zone for time. Okay, they give me a Wasteland target. So this could be a Meltdown for 1. Sure, they have the Meltdown. Fine. Let's keep applying threats. What do we want here? Take this Ether Vial. Problem is, any of the things we play out now are just going to get hit. So I think I would rather play out the Ether Vial. Sure. I'm surprised they didn't just wait till their turn and Colligan's Command it. That seemed excessive to me. I think play out this and we will waste on them just to make it so it's harder for them to try and win the game in the time they have left. Okay, so I assume if I try and cast this Crucible, it's going to get counterspelled, or it's going to get hit by Colligan's Command. So I think we'll just play out the Mother of Runes first. And then we play out the Oswald Fiddlebender. And then we play out the Horizon Canopy, and then we can Ether Vial in the Esper Sentinel. So we're giving them a 2-for-1 off of Hidetsugu's second right if they can do it, but I don't want to activate the Ether Vial until I know. The Colligan's Command, sure. So this time we're going to activate. I'm going to use Ether Vial's ability and put Esper Sentinel into play. So they've got 4 cards in 4 minutes. Let's see how they do. Plague Engineer. Pretty good. Sure. And a Lightning Bolt. Sure. 3 cards in hand. Try this Crucible of Worlds out. They got the Force of Will for it. They have to Force of Will it if they have the Force of Will. They do have the Force of Will. They had it all. Okay. So they don't have. So they have a threat, and they have to hit me with it 10 times, unless they get other threats in play. I can definitely win this game still. It's a little bit annoying. Hidetsugu consumes all. Yep. Play this out. this out. Let's draw a card, please. Is it going to be a Source of Plowshares? It's not going to be a Source of Plowshares, sure. So this guy can block and trade with the Plague Engineer if needs be. Or I can save it, and what do I get off of this for 2? For 1. Just another guy, isn't it? Fatal Push, sure. Certainly turning the corner here. Again, this matchup is horrible, but I don't think the Grixis deck is an amazing deck, to be honest with you. So this will die when it comes into play, but it will see me another card. Okay, no cards. Great. A Source of Plowshares I boarded in might be quite useful in the very near future. Can't believe that Ingenious Smith missed, but such is the life we lead sometimes. Sure. They just have hit spell into spell into spell at the moment. This has to block here. Sure. Council Judgment, sure. Cast it, targeting this. Right, it doesn't target, does it? We vote for this. If we can get rid of this Hidetsugu consumes all, they basically have to find a swamp and a Sorin to win the game, I think. Okay, so that's half the puzzle. Okay, they got the Sorin. Oh, no, they had a Fury. Okay. Well, that certainly ends the game quickly. Now would be a good time to draw a Source of Plowshares, please. That is not a Source of Plowshares. It does block for a turn. If I had a Caracas, then I could block indefinitely, but that's not what we have. Obviously doesn't help against the Trampler. Feels like I might lose this game, but again, there's tiny little draws that I can have that can keep me going for longer. I think winning this game is going to be difficult. Nice, sure. Our opponent has drawn very well, but a lot of their deck is pretty good here, so. I take the damage here in case I draw a Caracas on my next turn. And then I can block 6 every turn then. I did not draw a Caracas. We have to wasteland this, so they can't play Sorin and increase their clock. This has to block this turn now. I'm pretty sure they've got me. Okay. I'm going to hard cast Force of Will, counter this, and then kill me on the next turn. Sure. I will concede the game. So that was a really hard matchup. We run them relatively close. But we just couldn't make it. Like, they've got Hidetsugu Consumes All, they've got Meltdown, they've got Colligan's Command. This is... I don't think Grixis is a great control deck, but against a deck like this, it is very good. Anyway, on to the next one. Okay, we're into the final round. This is our opening hand. Doesn't have a 1-drop. Does have an Urza Saga plan. Doesn't have any basics. I think I'm going to mulligan this one. This hand is similar to the last one, to be honest, but it's got the combo wrapped up in it. It has an Urza Saga Crucible of Worlds plan going on. I think we're going to bottom the Fiddlebender here, because this can redraw us, and also if we are paired into Reanimator, this gives me at least a shot to win game 1. If not, it's still a redraw. Maybe I should keep the Oswald here, but I don't have the most amount of food for it, and I'm probably just going to be on an Urza Saga game anyway. Snow-covered island. Sure, so that could be a bunch of many different decks. Play this out, and we will play out the Soulguide Lantern now. Next time we'll play the Urza Saga, and then the Ancient Den, and then we'll just start making Urza Saga tokens, because if this is some sort of blue control deck, then Urza Saga tokens are going to be very good against them. If they're Grixis again, then maybe less so, but we shall see. I'm getting green-blue vibes because of the Snow Island, so it could be some sort of Yorion pile again. So we know it's a Yorion pile. Sorry, I should have said that at the start. What was I talking about reanimators for? Okay, so we play this out. Given that it's a blue Yorion pile, we're just going to cast this Painted Servant naked and see what happens. They're blue and, well, they might not be blue and green, but I think they're blue and green, judging by this start. If we name black, just in case they play some sort of snuff out, anything that's relevant, I think we just name white. So we have this if we need to exile their graveyard at any point. And then when we get to the stage where we need more cards, we can then use this to cash in and draw a card. I actually think I like this more than the Oswald play. Because what is Oswald realistically going into? This just gives us something to do on curve as well. And it makes Urza's Saga bigger. And Urza's Saga is good. I need to F6 for his turn because I don't have any plays. Maybe I'll actually do some leagues that aren't done at 1:15 in the morning at some point. What have you got for me? So they're a bug pile. Interesting. Another brainstorm. So they're filtering for something. Okay, so they're a 4-color Yorion deck. Collector Roof. Pretty good one. But since I have the combo, so this turn we make this. If I play this and activate this turn, next turn this becomes bigger, but so we don't want that. This doesn't actually tap for mana, which is a problem. The good thing about Urza Saga tokens is they don't have any activated abilities, they're just big guys. So that's our plan here until we can get a portable hole or something. A prismatic ending. Sure. They shouldn't be attacking here because I have an Urza Saga on board. Let's pay 2. Make another guy. So since activated abilities don't work, Pity Needle still works, and Hope of Giripa still works. So let's get Hope of Giripa. Play a Wasteland. I don't really want to crack this Wasteland. What I am in the market for is playing out a thing to make my creatures bigger. They think about Force of Willingness. No, they're going to Swords to Plowshares my guy in response. Sure. Next time we'd like to cast Crucible of Worlds and start just looping Urza Sagas, because that should be very difficult for my opponent to deal with unless they can Green Sun Zenith for a Scavenging Ooze. Field of the Dead. Sure, I have a Wasteland on board. So this is a tricky one. I think we have to add mana here. It's a case of what do we even want here? If we get a I think we just get a Pithing Needle, but I don't know what I'm naming at this point. We just get an Ether Valve, and then we use our remaining mana. Cast this Crucible of Worlds. If this resolves, then I think we're okay. If this doesn't resolve, then I think we're in a bit of bother. Okay, it resolved. Excellent. So we'll play this Urza Saga out. Okay, not unhappy with where this has gone. At some point, I'm going to have to get through this think that can wait. Obviously, Etherval can't do anything because of activated abilities, but it's an artifact to pump up my team, and also I can put counters on it, so if I do remove something, I instantly get a hit of mana. So our plan is just to keep playing Urza Saga from the graveyard, or Wastelands, until my opponent loses the game. So we're going to Wasteland them on the next turn, replay my Wasteland, activate my Urza Saga. That is the plan. This should prove quite an effective strategy, I would imagine. They probably have Life from Below in their deck if they're playing Field of the Dead. Just pass the turn, let's see what I have. I got all the colours in the world here. Playing some sort of 5-colour pile. Omnath. Sure, that's a guy. So what does he do? Let me remind myself. Enters the battlefield under your control, gaining 4 life. If it's the second time, add a load of mana. If it's the third time, deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker. Sure. So we're going to wasteland this. They could have an endurance as well, which is something I have to worry about. It's best just to play the wasteland here. So we're ticking these things up. We have a big guy that they can't block against. We go to attacks. This is a situation where having that Source of Plowshares in might come in quite handy. That's in my deck. Take one, an almighty one. And then we're just making Urza Saga tokens until we've got an overwhelming force, which won't take that long considering the size of the Urza Saga tokens. So I can strip away all of their lands with Wasteland if I want to. It's quite a long and arduous process. I'm not sure Wasteland in the Crucible player is the best use of your resources there. But they might not have a lot of uses for colourless mana in their deck, to be honest. Or they might have an Endurance as 10. All of which would make that a very fine play. There we go. Called it. Okay, so I guess we're going to try and wasteland them into oblivion then. So I can't attack with my flyer now as well because I have a reach guy. Yes, we'll put this on stack. I'd rather have 2 mana off of it than 1 if I can eventually clear it. Pithing Needle, that doesn't do anything here. So, I guess we start off by wastelanding away their red source. Let me replay this. So, do we just keep stripping the lands, or I think we probably just try and dig into some things here. I think we can just wasteland them once a turn. It's probably fine. We don't want our wasteland to be in the graveyard either. We want the minimum amount of time for it to be in the graveyard. So this drawing me a portable hole would be very good. It would suddenly turn on everything. And I can pose a win in a couple of turns. Actually, well, I could win next turn. No, I need another turn still. Sure, I would very much like to look at the top 4 cards in my library. These aren't great. I'll take another Ether Vial. Gets out of the deck, gives me something else to pump up my tokens with. We're not attacking anything, so we're just passing the turn. We need to try and get ahead of them on the clock a bit better. Okay, so we finally played a land, which is going to give them the ability to draw an additional card this turn. And they can also get a basic with this land, which is a little bit annoying for me. So we're looking for Oswald Fiddlebender or Portable Hole as our draws that we really want to have now. Source to Plowshare is also fine. Another Urza Saga is good. Got a lot of good draws here. what I was thinking of doing on the next turn was hitting their 2 remaining non-basics and then playing an Esper Sentinel. Because that way I'm going to draw a lot more cards. But I don't think that's going to happen because they're going to get a basic, so it's not... Keeping them to 3 lands is a lot worse than keeping them to 2 lands. Click on Uro. Makes sense with a non-mapping a deck. And also makes sense if you're playing blue and green cards, because Uro is a very good card. Okay, so they've escaped the Uro. Not great for me, truth be told. Again, the Uro will get sandbagged into my construct tokens, so they can attack to draw cards with it, but they're going to need something else, I think. I'm very tempted just to play out more artifacts on my next turn just to make sure my constructs are extra large. We do a Shadow Spear, which isn't really where we want to be. So we have options here. I think we probably have to wasteland something first off. And then replay the wasteland. We're probably looking at the black source. We replay this. So now we have options. We can play the Painter's Servant so that it's easier for me to combo, although I have this already to combo with, don't I? So I think we probably just play out the Esper Sentinel because this gets me some cards, hopefully. And we can either wasteland another land, but I don't really want to keep this in the graveyard. But we can play out a Pithing Needle, and if they don't respond to it, oh, then we name Misty Rainforest. Excellent. So they F6 through my turn, so I get to Misty Rainforest. And sure. Okay, they put Yuri in the Sky Nomad into their hand. Also, the speed my opponent's playing at is not great for this sort of deck. Boseiju. Yes, I would like to use Boseiju's ability. Give us planes. Sure, so I took out one of my tokens and the Painter's Servant. So we continue stripping away lands here, which I think is probably what we're going to do. So I think we strip away the Tundra. And we replay the Wasteland. Then we play out Painter's Servant because we've got multiple Painter's Servants anyway. We're going to name... We don't name green because they have green Sun's Zenith Index. We name white. Pumps our Ingenious Smith. So we have the option of wastelanding them again. But again, I like to keep this in my hand. We can play out another guy for the purposes of my construct token, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere. So I think we just pass the turn here. Life from Malone. Okay. That's a very good one. They're going to pay. If they pay, they can't... Okay, I'll pay. So this is a problem for me. They can't play multiple turns unless they attack with their Uro, which will die. Swords of Plowshares, a Boseiju. On my Painter's Servant. Sure. Interesting that that's what they're scared of. I will take this planes every day of the week, please. So Boseiju does represent a slight problem. So I can recur it over and over again. Put it on a stack and don't use it. No. Urza Saga, that's a very good draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they play a Field of the Dead, which is in their hand, they will get 2/2. How worried am I about a 2/2? Would I rather just keep making Urza Saga tokens? I think I would rather keep making Urza Saga tokens. And we'll play out one of these to pump my Ingenious Smith. And I think we probably still wasteland this turn just so they don't get a 2/2. So we can't really shut them off of anything effectively because they have this in play. But I think we just take rid of the Tundra. And then we are done for the turn. Come on, removal spell for their Collector Roof. It's been a very weird long game, which favours me because I've got more time on my clock. Beside you, sure. Yes, I would like to use the ability. I'll play this Plains. Just thinning my deck every turn until I draw what I need to. It's on the stack. No counters, please. A Mother of Runes. Okay, that's a card I'm going to cast. So now I have to choose if I want to Wasteland or Urza Saga. If I play the Wasteland, I can stop them getting a 2-2 this turn. If I play the Urza Saga, I force them into Besiegeing me and giving me another Plains, and I've still got a lot more Plains in my deck. Let me play this out. And we destroy the Tundra that they got back last turn. So if we keep this holding pattern up for long enough, well, first of all, they're going to run out of time, but secondly, they're going to find themselves in a spot of bother, I would imagine, because they're going to eventually let me draw one of the few relevant things I'm looking at drawing. Obviously, they probably have some relevant draws. They've already drawn like the best card in their deck against me. Oh, they've milled their Minsc Boo, which is one of the ways they can break out of this deadlock, which is nice for me. That was the other thing I was considering putting the Pithing Needle on as well. But the fact that I just got catch on it when I was playing a Wasteland game at the time. Are they going to let me have a card? They're not going to let me have a card, sure. They're just going to continually... Okay, they've got Caracas now, which means they have less options. So they can keep bouncing the Uro, their own Uro, which is quite a nice play. Sure, you can Besage you that as well. I will get Plains into play. I can take a hit from a creature this turn without an issue. The card draw is more of an issue than the creature, because they're up to 6 cards already. And then they get the Field the Dead trigger. Sure. I'm not going to block, I'm just going to take the first 6. Yes, on this one, no on the other one. Okay, so we have a Wasteland here, we got Wasteland there. Problem with casting the Painter now is it stops my ability to win the game next turn if I draw the removal spell. So I think we can't do that. If we play the Wasteland, we force action on the Life of Malome to Field of Dead things again. If we play the Saga, then they have to deal with this. I really, really want an artifact, but I don't think I can play. I guess I could have played out the Ancient Den that turn just to pump this guy. But we do have the Mother of Runes now. Sure. Field of the Dead. Got the Wasteland, it's just going to hit the Saga, sure. I think I definitely should play out the Ancient Den, and then this would be a 6/6 and can at least trade with the Uro. So we have this 1/1 Death Touch Snake. And then definitely a mountain, a lot of resources here. I don't think making them pay 1 for mana is going to do a great deal anymore. We're going to block like this. Okay. We kind of need to keep this for a Painter's Servant. So I think we have to let that go. But where are we going if we let this guy die? think we have to let that guy die. Just in case we draw one of the things that wins me the game. I need to be able to make sure it's protected against the Swords to Plowshares. Green Sun's Death. This is going to be very bad for me. I suspect there's going to be an Endurance. Was it extra 3? Yeah. Oh no, it's Grist. So they're going to destroy target creature or planeswalker. Oh no, they're just going to mill themselves. Sure. So they can mill this to 5 and then try and get me that way. Just to finish me off. Sure. There's a lot going on here. Let's say no to both of these. Oh wait, no, this is the first one. We want to say yes to this one. Let me say no to the other one. So they're both on 2 then, so I can activate one in response. This is an absolute god tier draw, I think. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's exaggerating a little bit, but we're going to play out this. We don't have any ability to activate it, do we? This would have been good. Why have I tapped 3 there? This would have been good if they didn't have a collector refund turn 2 or 3 or whatever it was. Okay, so our Ingenious Smith is now big enough to tussle with the what do you call it? The Euro. Right, we need to let them wind down the clock a bit more as well. I think we're priced into... I think we're just going to chump again. I think it was the correct play last time. I think it's the correct play this time. I don't want to protect it. I guess I could have blocked with a Lion Sash. If only I could activate the abilities on it. If only this card that's been in play forever wasn't in play. Again, it's nearly... It's what, quarter to 2 in the morning. So I'm probably not the sharpest I've ever been. Yeah, they're just making lots of Field of the Dead guys. We really need to hit that. They probably have a Force of Will now as well, so it's going to be increasingly difficult for me to resolve my removal spell. Yuri on the Sky Note, right? We could wasteland the Field of the Dead, but I think we're on having a draw step. And then if it's the removal spell and they don't have a Force of Will, we win. Otherwise, we're in trouble. So we just want, if they want to put all these things on the stack and burn through their clock, this is only game 1. So I'm happy for them to do that. Got a 2-minute lead on them clockwise. Oh dear, oh dear. A wasteland, that wasn't the one. We can play out this to pump my guy. So he's going to be big enough that he can get in the way of Uro without having to tap my Mother of Runes. I got a lot of zombies as well. I have a lot of permanents. Most of them do nothing. So we can put the Lion Sash under the bus. Yeah. Then we've got the 4/4 and we take lethal. Sure. Yeah, okay, so we're dead there. So what we need to do here is board in some Rest in Pieces to deal with their graveyard. Board out the Crucible of Worlds. The Grafdigger's Cage is okay here because it deals with the graveyard and Green Sun Zenith. The Pithing Needle didn't give me an awful lot of options in that game, but I did see the Minsk and Boo, so that's something I want to keep my eye on. Soga Lantern is fine. They have a lot of ways of dealing with my Orc permanents, so my combo, for example. So these things are probably fine, and if we want to go down the beatdown route, we have these. So we can kind of just board out of a load of stuff. Lion Sash is obviously very bad if I don't have, if I have the Rest in Peace, but I think that's also fine. Have these Ether Vials, which are good against their Swords to Plowshares deck. Hope of Girapur is fine, he's fine. So I think we're on the Shaving Combo Pieces plan to begin with, and then see where we get to. They have a Caracas, so Oswald Fiddlebender is less good. which makes cutting these Painter Servants less good as well. I think the Lion Sash is going to be a slight liability here, as is the Soul Guide Lantern. I'd rather just have the big nuke options and go for that. Let's have a look. Source Plowshares. The Ingenious Smith is going to be good. The Canister is going to be good. The Mother of Runes is good because it can have a load of removal. Pithing Needle is pretty much just for Minsk and Boo, I think. And I already have the Council's Judgment if I need that, and the Anointed Peacekeepers. So I think we can probably trim the Needle. Probably trim another Oswald. And we're trimming here. We kind of need to keep our beatdown options alive. I think we're going to trim a Vial, which is something I do more than other people do. Or is the Hope of Girapur the one to cut there? I don't know. I think that's fine. The Hope of Girapur gives me a free window if I do want to combo. Okay, I'm on the play. There's 7 minutes. Ideally, I want to win this game, because my opponent definitely won't be able to win in what will remain in the next game. What does hand do? It has a Rest in Peace, it has a Portable Hole, it has the Urza Saga. So they're playing a 5-colour deck with Wasteland, which kind of gives me the impression that Wizards have made a mistake. Because that's not really something you should be able to do. I'm going to play the Canonist out first, so we can get a clock going. And also we don't have to worry about their graveyard just yet. Play this out. Play this out. Okay, they don't have a Force of Will in hand because they just F6 through my turn. That's good information. A Caracas, sure. Prismatic Ending, fine. Let's see what they have in their hand. Force of Negation, Uro, Primeval Titan, Swords to Plowshares. What does it say? Spells your opponent's cast. Yep, okay. Just making sure it's not going to hit my own Swords to Plowshares. So, you know what the hand is. The Urine isn't in their hand yet, though. Windswept Heath. They're probably going to play the Uro this turn. I like they're just going to hardcast this Source of Plowshares and keep open the Force of Negation, sure. Okay. This is just going to make some guys this turn. I think we're just going to... Do we play out the Grindstone this turn? I think we play out the Grindstone as a bait spell for the Rest in Peace. Yes, we can force the Rest in Peace through. Not interested in it. That's fascinating to me. They have a Force of Negation as an option. Maybe they're just trying to play quickly. Combat. They're just passing through my turn, aren't they? Which means I can probably resolve this. Yes. Excellent. Oh shit, I'm losing my clock as well here, I'm not paying enough attention. Oh shit, I missed that as well. I'm a few seconds ahead of them and that's it. This is tight. This isn't really how Magic should be played. Play Plays Uro. I'm taking a lot of time on their turn, which is good for me. Primeval Titan. Sure. I need a 1-mana artifact that I can pitch here. It's going to have to take 2 turns to do it. I think it's correct to cast this. Targeting this. See, this is tight, isn't it? Do I have the win next turn? And they're probably not going to play around it because they don't have the time to. They let me go to my turn with their Caracas. Okay, sure. They can make zombies instant speed, so I need to just pass here. If I draw a Wasteland or a Pithing Needle, I can deal with their Caracas. Did I take the Pithing Needle out from Instant Poo, didn't I? Yes, I didn't keep that. Sure, this is probably bad. Could be Collector Roof. No, how much did it protect? 1, 2, 4. X is 3. Okay, so still got the Collector Roof. Sure. I have the answer for that in my hand. They're still going to Caracas that. Sure. If I draw another land, I'm also fine as well. See if we can get this off. We have to Caracas my Oswald or lose. Wastelands will flip, alright. If they have an endurance, it doesn't save them. Excellent. Geez. So that worked. I think we just want all the ways that can slow them down now. Which isn't a great way to play Magic the Gathering, but here we are. I don't think we want to stick around with these vile triggers. Deafening silence might stop them doing anything really broken, perhaps. Does mean all their counter spells are full-on counter spells. So if we add these in, I guess we still need to keep a way of winning the game in. We don't just want to try and be that guy, do we? Put in one deafening silence. Fiddlebender won me that game, but I doubt he will win me a game again in that fashion. I don't think we're going to be ingenious smithing anyone. So let's slow the game down. I don't think we want to slow it down that much, do we? Okay, let's go for this. Ponder? Sure. I'm going to put some triggers on the stack with my Esper Sentinel, which is going to annoy them. Scrappy Magic to finish off the league. Not the way I like to play Magic the Gathering. No, we want to cast this first. And play this out. And waste on this. And then pass. Oh, I'll pass through my attack step, sure. Okay, they gave up trying to race that. Alright, so we finished 3 and 2, so let's have a look at the deck again. Okay, so this is the deck we had here. And let's have a look, really. I think the Swords to Plowshares change never came up, so I can't really evaluate that one particularly well. The Lion Sash did come up, and I kind of... I misplayed a game with the Lion Sash where I think I could have been alive and possibly won the game because of it. So I think the Lion Sash coming back in after I took it out last time I played was a good idea. Something I've also been noticing lately is the Mox Opal has been quite an unexciting card a lot of the time for me. It's nice to have the ability for your Urza Saga to find you a mana source. Because obviously it's a land you're losing, so you're finding a mana source, which is nice because it doesn't mess up your curve. But I don't know necessarily if it's nice enough, or if I'd rather just have like another utility land. So whether that would be like a Ghost Quarter, or even like an Ancient Tomb to try and power out things a little bit earlier. So I think this is something I'm thinking about possibly cutting and trying something different for the next build. Everything else was pretty happy with it. Sideboard wise, the Rest in Pieces were good. The Seal of Cleansing never really came in. The Graph Digger's Cage would have been great in some of the matchups. And the Anointed Peacekeeper, I think, did a good job. He forced a whole turn just to Swords to Plowshare. I don't think it was incredible or amazing, but he basically became a, you have to answer this before you can do anything else with your hand. And the Peak was also useful because it let me see what I need to play around. So I'm definitely going to try some more Anointed Peacekeeper. I think this guy is good, but possibly maybe some more Graveyard Hate just so I've got more chance of having it on turn 1 when I need it. Alright, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed that one, and Please like and subscribe. If you know anyone else who's into legacy content, please let them know that my channel is around and it's going to be doing leagues pretty much every day. I need to try and get my subscriber number up, so if you can help with that, that'd be brilliant. All right, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.